What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Believers After Dark right here on Saved and the City TV. And I'm your host, Iberia. So come on in the room. Yes, you are locked live at the right place and the right time for your kingdom solutions for real world issues. Oh my God. This whole series, Believers After Dark, and not just a series, but just every episode has been so rich and rewarding. And JoLanda, you guys see, this is our resident consultant that's here. Yeah, good morning, even though it's 10 o'clock at night.
Right,
yeah.
Good evening.
Good evening. Yes, and so we've been talking about a lot of different things that, again, sometimes people skirt around in the church, in the communities, and even in our own homes. And the objective is just to start the conversation so that we can kind of get out of the facade and what's not real and walk in authentic truth. And so I'm so excited that I get to share this platform, not just myself, but with other amazing individuals right here in our city. And today's topic that we're going to be discussing is the suicidal church. Whoa. I'll let that marinate for a second, because how does that go together? How does faith and fear reside in the same place, in the same house? Where does mental illness fall when the church says pray? How do we begin to tap into some of those real issues that are going on? And it's not just the church members that are in that place of feeling like there's no other answer. There are also pastors, leaders in the church that are committing suicide at outrageous numbers. And so something has to be done. And again, we're not going to be able to find all the answers in 30 minutes. I don't proclaim that, but we can at least begin the conversation. And so we're going to be beginning the conversation with these amazing individuals right here. I have Pastor Jarvis here with us, JoLanda, of course, our resident consultant that's here, and also James Price. And joining us on the phone is Pastor Melva-Henderson. And so we're going to go around the table and let you all kind of introduce yourselves a little bit deeper, tell the people about what you do, the churches or organizations that you're connected to. And we'll start there. Pastor Jarvis, let's start with you.
Okay, well, I am Pastor Jarvis Ellis. I am the Peacock Proud pastor.
Come on for Peacock
yeah,
Proud.
Peacock Proud.
That's
I'm from the South now. There we go. The slang is that Atlanta, Georgia slang, but I'm pastoring here in the city. They can go to Milltown now. New Direction Christian Church, and I have we planted that church 3 years ago, but I've pastored a traditional Baptist church 5 years prior to that. So I've been in Milwaukee for 8 years and dabbled in hospice chaplaincy, pastoral counseling, that kind of thing. So I'm excited about being here today.
Yeah, no,
thank you.
I'm so glad to have your voice at the table. And then James, let's talk to you.
My name is James. Prince. A lot of people get that mixed up. It's actually Prince.
Yes, I know it's Prince. Did I say Price?
Yes.
I keep saying Price. It's right. I'm gonna tell you one thing. It's right in them lower thirds, right? LaShondra, Neo Soul Productions. We got it. Go ahead.
I was born and raised here in Milwaukee. I am a current member of World Outreach Bible Training Institute.
Come on, Peacock Proud member.
I'm proud.
Proudness.
5 years strong at that
I love it.
place.
Amen.
And, I'm here because I want to bring awareness to people in regards to suicide prevention and awareness, as I almost became a statistic.
Wow.
At as far as committing suicide almost a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
And I'm just thankful that I'm here to be able to share my testimony with everyone and pray to God that I can help somebody. If I can help one person, that's enough.
Yeah. I love you for that, James, and I love your tenacity and also just your fortitude. And I'm about to take this advocacy and run with it.
Right.
Just a quick sidebar before we go to JoLanda. James just randomly inboxed me and said, "This is what I do. This is what I want to. These are the people that I want to reach." And sometimes when God has placed something down on the inside of you, you just got to take a walk and a leap, not knowing how. And I didn't even get back to him right away.
Nope.
But the thing is, the seed was planted. And so at that moment, I was like, okay, who else do I want to bring to this table? And because you planted that seed, I was able to reach back to you. So I commend you for that. And so, JoLanda, we have you here.
Ooh, man, this is a topic that's very near and dear to me. You all know I'm so blessed to be here and spend time with Brandy every Thursday on Believers After Dark. But I am from T.A.L.K Consulting. T.A.L.K is tell your story, accept your truth, learn your identity, and know your strength. And one of the things that breaks my heart is the reason why we can put the Suicidal Church in one sentence is because people don't talk.
Wow.
And so I felt like it was appropriate to, sport the gear today. But really from the message and the heart that, we got to talk. So, James, I'm so glad you're here, man. I can't wait to hear your testimony, hear your story.
Thanks for having me, too.
And look, what I do is advocacy and awareness. So, anyway, I can partner with you, support your vision, support your mission. Man, I'm here for it.
Shout.
That's God. That's God. That's God.
We got high fives going on here in the studio, Pastor Melva.
I'm going to run.
Pastor Melva, we need you here to high five too, but we know that you're on the road and we know you're traveling. But Pastor Melva, let's hear your voice for the people that are listening in. Kind of what you do, Melva-Henderson Ministries, World Outreach. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, hello, everybody. My name is Melva-Henderson, and I am the co-founder, the Peacock co-founder.
Come on in here, Pastor.
There we go.
Come on in here.
And I also happen to be the founder and the president of Melva-Henderson Ministries, both outreach efforts to reach and change and transform people's lives. Been in ministry now for almost 30 years and proud of it. So just honored to be a part of what you all are doing and, to add my 2 cents, what little it may be, to this conversation.
No, it's definitely so rich. And what I'm so elated about is that we have pastors at this table because, a lot of times, especially when you're going to different churches or if you're unchurched and you're trying to connect the social media and different avenues, they kind of have it out there that, pastors, they're untouchable. And so I'm so honored to have both you, Pastor Jarvis and Pastor Melva, on the line just to show that, yes, we have pastors that are tangible, that are ready to get down in the dirt with you in some of your lowest points. And that's just the Christ in them, because that's what Jesus would do. And so let's jump right into the topic at hand, the suicidal church. And, what I wrote was on the synopsis was, why would a person of faith still consider suicide as an option for escape? And then also, can mental illness and faith go hand in hand? So, with that on the table, how does that work? I'm thinking I almost want to kind of start with you, James, because you were a believer, and then take us through your journey.
Well, long story short, I went through a lot of trials and tribulations through my life. I started thinking of suicide right around 18, 19 years old.
Okay.
And that's because I was a product of a broken home.
Okay.
My father was there, but he wasn't present.
Gotcha.
He went to work. He was a great provider, but he was not a great teacher. He was not a great disciplinarian, So, and with my mom working my father, he did construction, but my mom still worked 2 jobs, so she was barely home. She would work in the morning, come home, cook dinner, make sure the house is clean, get some sleep, and then go work 3rd shift, So, and then at the age of 14, that's when they split up.
Okay.
So, at the age of 21, I lost my father to diabetes.
Okay.
Wow.
And growing up, I sought out after my father's approval. I still feel to this day I never got his approval. He, at the age of 11, he told me he was proud of me one time, and that was because I led my elementary school basketball team to a victory. Other than that, he never told me he loved me, never told me he was proud of me. And those are the things that a man looks for in his father.
Affirmation.
Exactly. Thank you. That's what I was looking for. Affirmation. And I met my wife. We had a son together. We got married, and I seen myself turning into my father. I went to work. I came home. I was a great provider, but I was not a teacher. I was not a disciplinarian.
Gotcha.
My faith was not strong in the church, you know, and it resonated to my household being dismantled, you know. So at that time, I was like at a really low point in my life. I hated my job, you know. My kids, they were scared of me, you know. They feared me because I was so angry, you know. They wanted nothing to do with me. I got 5 kids at home. None of them wanted anything to do with me.
Gotcha.
You know, my wife often said that, you know, it's real easy for me to leave you. I'm going to leave you. Yeah, I can't deal with this, yada, yada, yada. Till one day she just broke down and told me I'm leaving. You know, so I'm looking at it as I'm not a good father. You know, I never had a father figure. I'm a horrible husband. I hate my job. I'm
so
still
why
in
are you
school.
here? That's where you get to.
And it got so bad I was a full-time student at MATC for culinary arts. I love to cook. I still love to cook to this day. I hated school. I just had so much negative thoughts going in my head. And when my wife told me she was leaving, you know, that was the icing on the cake. Yeah. So I'm an outdoorsman. I like to hunt. I like to fish. I like to do all that. I told her I'm going hunting. So I can hunting to clear my head. At that time, I did not mean that. You know?
So at that time, you knew that you were going to take your life?
No, I didn't.
Oh, you weren't sure?
No, I wasn't sure.
Okay.
So I left. I was in the woods, and it's like a little shack in the woods. I sat in the shack, and I'm sitting there contemplating, why am I here? Why am I here? You know, everything is being taken away from me, or I'm pushing everything away. Why am I here? So I took my shotgun, I stuck it in my mouth.
Jesus.
And I told God to forgive me for I do not know what I'm about to do. I pulled the trigger 3 times and the gun didn't go off. Wow. I pulled the trigger 3 times. And even after that, I was still in such a negative place. I thought to myself, how does a man fail at suicide?
Wow.
How does a man fail at suicide, you know?
Yeah.
So after that, I kind of went home and I thought, like, what was the meaning of that? And God revealed to me, lean not onto your own understanding, Proverb, for all of your paths will be laid straight. And I'm like, ooh, I had to sit and meditate on that one for about a good month and a half. Like, what is it that God is doing for not allowing me to?
Right. Okay. Yeah.
You know,
for that to be the end.
And like, I kept my gun in the safe. I never touched it after that for about a month and a half, 2 months. I went down in the safe and realized I never took the safety off the gun. Oh. You know, and that's a blessing.
Yeah, because that's why you could shoot and did not come out. I'm like, how that happen? I'm sitting over here like, ponder.
Yeah, I never took the safety switch off the gun.
Figure it out. Wow, you know, jump in, Pastor Jarvis. I mean, hearing that, you know, I mean, I'm definitely hearing, you know, spirits of rejection, spirits of abandonment that's leading to that, because those are the voices that we begin to hear. Thoughts? You know,
well, a lot of what he said, those things, I think, they foster mental illness.
Wow.
They begin to cultivate those things in our heart and our mind and our spirit. Unaddressed issues are the breeding ground for mental illness, even in the church. If we don't address the issues, it is the birthing ground for some of those things to happen, that ruminating, those negative thoughts, you know. But what hit my heart is when he was like, dang, how do you feel at suicide?
Yeah. That hit me. I was like, wow.
Like that was the negative place I was in. Like, I took everything at that moment negatively. You know, it wasn't like, oh, thank God I'm still here, yada yada yada. Again, that was the negativity. Yeah. How does a man fail at suicide?
Wow. That's huge.
Can I just say I'm glad you did?
Right. How about that?
Thank you.
How about congratulations on that failure? Yes. I mean,
I'm proud of you.
And so at that point, you were saying that you knew of God, but you weren't completely in the church.
I was in the church, but I lost faith.
Gotcha.
Because of what was going on.
Yeah.
Like, how is God allowing all of this to happen?
Okay.
When I sat back and realized that it's not God.
Yeah.
It's me not listening. It's me not following.
Finally taking accountability. I think that's what a lot of us do. We don't take accountability for a lot of the things. And I'm not saying you at all, James, but just I can speak for my own life.
Right.
Not, at seasons in my life where I just didn't take accountability. And I remember being in a place and saying, God, how could you let this happen to me? Why would you do this to me? Why would you allow me to be? And then I realized I grew in faith. Like I did that. I got free will. I can make those. He was there with me through it all. But these were my choices and my decisions. But everyone. I can't use the word lucky. Everyone isn't so as blessed as you were to be able to walk away from something like that. As a pastor, Pastor Jarvis, do you see that in your church? People that have a mask, but you kind of know what's going on the other side. And how do we begin to address that so we don't have other people ending up with in a shack with a gun in their mouth trying to end it all?
Well, from a pastoral perspective, first of all, brother, man, I'm sitting over here and just in awe because I praise God for not just your fortitude, man, but really your transparency. And what I'm about to say, I don't want to. I got my stone on what I'm about to say.
Come on, Stone.
I grew up in a traditional church, African American church, African American community. Went to historical black college, all that good stuff. So what I'm about to say is in reference to the African American community because that is my vantage point. And what I will say,
even men in the African community. That's another level.
Just a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
And what I will say. In the African American Christian community, your problem is not unique. However, it's up underneath rugs. We don't like to talk about stuff like that. And so what ends up happening in the African American church, we shout it out, we pray it out. And there are some things you just cannot pray away. You got to have some dialogue. And so
some action that comes
absolutely.
Behind it,
And so do I see a lot of it in my church? Absolutely. I see mental illness in our church. I see depression in our church. But we've always been taught in the African American community, baby, just give it to Jesus. And and I'm not knocking anybody's motherboard. My mother, I know my mom was like, Jesus, Lord. But what I'm saying is that suicide, we don't talk about it, not just in the African American church, but I think there's so in the African American community because we've been sort of programmed to where if I have anything outside of just having a bad day is deemed as negative. I'm weak. There's something wrong with me. There's some, that kind of thing. And so I praise God, man, just for your transparency. And I'm just happy to sit at the table. I know you were getting ready.
Yeah, I want to piggyback on what you were saying about the African American community. I took the liberty of gathering some stats that are very alarming.
Yeah.
I couldn't find anything on 2018, but in the year 2017, this is just United States of America. 47,173 people decided to take their own life.
Wow.
Here is another alarming statistic. 4 out of 5 people that commit suicide are men.
Yeah.
Wow. You said 4 out of 5?
4 out of 5. That means in the year 2017, 37,783 men took their own lives.
Jesus, have mercy.
Yeah. And do you know why that is? More women attempt suicide, but more men are successful.
Why?
Well, one,
I don't understand. Like, if I shoot and what some people and you shoot,
men they don't play games with it. If they're committing suicide, they're either doing it by shotgun, by jumping off of a bridge, by something that pretty much does not give you an opportunity for survival. With women, you see a lot of medication taking, a lot of cutting, a lot of things that really still allows for you to kind of come back from the other side. But even in terms of African American men, just that range of that mid-30s.
Wow.
Yeah, to like mid-40s. It's real.
Wow.
I had a pastor friend of mine that made national headlines that committed suicide in 2013. Pastor Teddy Parker. They were in the midst of a building project. And on the outside, it looks like things are just wonderful. Things are growing. And on the day in which he celebrates pastoral anniversary, they've celebrated in the morning time. This is in Atlanta, Georgia. They celebrate in the morning time. There's an afternoon service. He tells his wife, you all go ahead. I'll come behind you, and gets in this truck and commits suicide by gun. And it shocked not just this church and this community, but it shocked the nation. Because we were trying to figure out, wait a minute,
how did we not see?
Exactly. What did we miss the signs? And then after we're in shock, then people start judging.
Yeah, don't we?
How can a Christian, let alone a pastor, commit suicide and they believe in God? And so it just shocked it, and it was at that moment that I said we've got to do more than just shout and pray. That's
so good. That's so good, Pastor Jarvis. We're going to take a quick break. I know this is heavy stuff that we're talking about tonight on Believers After Dark, and when we come back, we're going to talk to Pastor Melva, who you guys know I absolutely love and adore for her ministry and also just for her transparency. I think that was a perfect segue, Pastor Jarvis, and she can share a little bit even about some of her own thoughts that she had that she shared with us that she didn't even have until she became a pastor. So we'll be right back after this. It's real right here on Believers After Dark. We're talking about the suicidal church. We'll be right back.
What happens in our house stays in our house. But what do you do when trauma happens in the house? This is an invitation to finally talk. Tell your story, accept your truth, learn your identity, and know your strength. Talk presents a pocket message series offering resources to process, heal, and provide support for survivors. The series provides heart-stirring commentary on the reality of childhood sexual abuse with insight from Dr. Ramona Woods, Dr. Mark Ongley, author Victoria McAfee, Sarah Reek, LPC, and Austin Reese of Lotus Legal. This series includes 3 messages that can be purchased for $10 each or the 3-part series for $25. Purchase the series and schedule a talk presentation for your school, daycare, church, or organization today at talkconsulting.net.
And we are back. You are locked live to Believers After Dark right here on Saved and the City TV. I'm here with the Believers crew. And, we're talking about something that really isn't quite so funny at all. It's the suicidal church. It's real. I would say out here in these streets, but I'm going to say it's real out here in these pews, and so we have to begin to start having these real conversation on what's going on beyond the mask. James gave us some staggering statistics of what's going on just in the world. I would love to know what that looks like as it compares to the church. Like how many, and the thing is with the church, is it even being recorded? Because a lot of things aren't even being recorded, but it's because we don't want to bring shame on certain things. And so, Pastor Melva is still on the line with us. And so I'm so excited to have her join the conversation and just kind of share with us what you've heard from, or what you've kind of taken from what we've shared in the first half. And then even Pastor Melva, you can share a little bit of your personal story as a pastor and even dealing with some of those feelings.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Brandy.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very serious topic, and unfortunately, it's something that we have to deal with in the church. I was going to make reference to the pastor in Atlanta.
Oh.
My testimony is once I got into the ministry and started experiencing and the need, please, I got to a place where I was like, God, if you don't do something about this, I'm gonna get up out of here. And so the first time in my life that I had even had thoughts of taking my own life, and it was because I was under a great deal of, and I remember saying to my husband, Anderson can be in the midst of the blessing God all around him, all down life. And so it's very real.
Yeah.
But I also think that it's really important for us to be able to God put in church, in the African American community and in the Black churches that have an interest in dealing with the mind.
Yeah.
Yes.
One thing, when we first started our church, I said to my husband, yes, Jesus can make everything but we don't do what we address people's mindset. I don't care how much Jesus we pour on them, it's not going to produce change.
Wow.
So that transformation of the mind is not just a spiritual work, it's a mental work as well.
That's true.
And who better to do that than people who have been educated in dealing and working with the mind. And so out the gate, we put together.
And I think we may have lost Pastor Melva. Is she back? Okay, great. Yes, we can hear you. Pastor Melva, if you can say that again. You said she's out again. So we're trying something new tonight on Believers After Dark. I don't know if you guys can hear that drag and delay, but she's saying some amazing things. And just to reiterate some of the things that Pastor Melva was saying is that, you know, we have to deal with the spiritual aspect of who we are, you know, as believers and just as human beings. But we cannot steer away or shy away in the church from the mental aspect of who we are as human beings. And so before she was cut off, Pastor Melva, I think you're back. What you were saying is that, you know, World Outreach has taken that very seriously, and you've created kind of an arm where you deal specifically with kind of like the Christian what do you call it? Counselor. I would say consultant. The Christian counselor. Is that what you were saying?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
You know, the church I came out of, we had one of the largest African American churches in the city, and the pastor used to say to us all the time, look at your neighbor and say 1 out of 5, 1 out of 5.
Wow.
And we would joke around about it, but the moment that we became pastors, that 1 out of 5 comment became very real.
Wow.
Yes, it does.
You know, and so you consider that. I didn't hear James' statistics because it was going in and out.
Okay.
But that is what it's said, is that 1 out of 5 people are dealing with some type of mental illness or something. And so I think it is something that we absolutely have to address in the church as well as with clergy.
Absolutely. And I appreciate that. And so, I mean, I guess this is kind of an open question to all. So how do we begin this process? You know, Pastor Melva, you've been, and Pastor Skip, you guys have been in ministry for a little while now. And so you've developed that out to have counselors that you can go to right in the church. Some ministries are much smaller and maybe they don't have that capacity at this point. How do we begin as just kind of a church community to begin to reach out? Go ahead, JoLanda.
My heart is really just overwhelmed right now. One, being in the presence of 2 pastors that are willing to come to the table and have this conversation. The reason why I do what I do with T.A.L.K is because people won't have the conversation. So and I think when it comes to us as a body of believers, when we see our leaders saying stuff like, look, I had the struggle,
I had the thought,
I encountered this, you know, you aren't too far off from experiencing this, it changes the game. It tells people, wait, it's okay, you're there, I'm here, and we've had the same experiences, so like there is help for me, you know. And really coming at it from a Christian perspective, I absolutely honestly believe counseling and therapeutic services are necessary, but I think they have to be implemented from a Christian perspective when you're dealing with believers. That way you can address the mental illness aspect of it, and you can also address the spiritual part of it when you're working with people.
Because you didn't have anything like that at that time, right? Or anything you were connected to that you knew of to reach out to, James?
Not at the moment, no.
And I remember when we first planted our church years ago, and of course, you know, we're growing, but we were small. One of the things that one of my colleagues said was create for pastors who don't have the staff, who don't have the budget. Go out and create a community resource document. And so he doesn't mind me using him, Reverend Stephen Fringer, who is a pastoral Christian counselor. I'm grateful now me using JoLanda quite a bit. And the reason why I say that is because even though my undergrad, I just went and got another master's in pastoral counseling, there are some things that are beyond New Testament and Old Testament. And I think one of the things that Pastor Melva, she alluded to, is the pressures of ministry. We walk on a very invisible line that people put you up on pedestals, and it's amazing. They put clergy and leaders everywhere but in prayer. So I I get it with but one of the things that I think we have to be, and everyone has said, is what to be transparent and be honest about where we are not strong in. My goal at my church, and my staff knows this, I staff to my weakness. I have ADHD and I'm not playing. And so my members know that if you don't get what you need to say to Pastor Ellis within first 10, 15 minutes, it's over his head. And there are some things that I'm just not strong in. And pastoral counseling, most clergy are not strong in. There's nothing wrong sort of saying, hey, can I refer you out to someone? It takes nothing away from me because at the end of the day, the ministry is ministering to the total person, not just the spiritual side. And I think a lot of times in African American service, because we give them the word, but we don't show them how to live Monday through Saturday. And I think that's doing them disservice, man.
Absolutely. I really do. You know, this 30 minutes is so not enough I say that every show because it's so real. I mean, this is a heavy topic.
It is.
We may have to address it again. If nothing else, we want to make sure that we can provide some resources for people that are watching or listening on the podcast. But before we go, we definitely want to do some final thoughts kind of around Robin, go around the room. Pastor Melva, I know you're on the road, and so I want to get to you first. Just kind of give us some parting words and some parting thoughts. And I did have a quick question while you're giving those parting words and parting thoughts about your kind of your counselor, I guess, brigade. I don't know. Network. Or brigade came around. Network in the church. Is it only for World Outreach, or can other people tap into that? And then give us some parting words, please.
It's for anybody who, that's the whole premise of World Outreach. For anybody that would need it, they can come and receive what they need. And so I think that, when we were talking about where do we begin, I think that network thing and resourcing, I think that's invaluable. I think that is absolutely dead on. So I totally agree with what Pastor Jarvis said and pretty much what everybody else has said, and I think that, we also want to keep prayer. And even though we know that there's some added things that we have to do, I think prayer is also a critical piece that we continue to pray. Paul said, pray for me and for all saints,
Amen.
And I think it's important for us to just keep all saints in prayer because the enemy definitely, we're not demon possessed, but he definitely satanically oppressed. And some of that is, we need to be dealing with that with the word and with the help of those who understand how to work with the mind.
That is so true.
That's so good. Pastor Melva, thank you so much for being on Believers After Dark. You can stay through to the end, but if you need to go, that it's absolutely okay if you need to drop off the line. But we definitely are appreciative of you taking time to call in on this very special show this evening. And so, Pastor Jarvis, some parting words or parting thoughts?
Well, I think one of the things that I think we have to do is just recognize that suicide has made its way into the church.
Wow.
Because the church has been painted as a judgmental group of people that will not understand what people are going through. And while the church has its flaws, it can be messy. I would rather be in a messy place where I know Jesus is coming. And so all I'm going to say, it's just my pastoral hat. All I'm going to say is that we have to do a better job. And when we think about, even from a Christian perspective, I mean, David says even in Psalms, if I had wings as a dove, I would fly away. He's talking about the pressures of life. And so it's nothing wrong with being transparent. Mm-hmm. We all struggle. It doesn't take away from our Christianity, but I think just starting the conversation, that's why I love JoLanda when she says just having the conversation. And so I agree with what Pastor Melva said. Let's continue to pray, but let's continue to keep the lines of communication open. And then let's create some spiritual based a tangible solutions for people at where they are. So I'm looking forward to continuing the conversation.
Oh, absolutely. I love it. James?
I just have two things to say. First of all, you have to put yourself in a position to, as Pastor Skip, I love when he preaches about this, outspeaking your thoughts.
Wow.
Yes. Because you can think all the negativity you want, but once you start to speak, you stop thinking.
That's good.
You have to speak.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. He has his exercise that he does. If you close your eyes and mentally start to count to 10 slowly, and in the middle of counting, you just stop thinking and you just open up and say hallelujah, you automatically stop thinking.
Yeah, no, I get that.
You stop thinking, you start speaking.
The power of now,
Yeah, that's good.
like it says in the book of Proverbs 18 and 21, the tongue, life and death are in the power of the tongue, and those who like to speak will eat the fruits thereof. You have to speak positivity into yourself. It took me a while to learn how to properly do that, but I'm glad I am in that position to do so, because even now to this day, I still have not suicidal thoughts, but negative thoughts. Yeah. But yeah. I outspeak them.
It's a daily,
I outspeak those thoughts. And the next thing, get help.
Yeah.
Talk to somebody.
That's it.
That's
get help. It doesn't matter where you get it from. Honestly, get help before it's too late.
That's so true.
That's so good. Thank you, James, so much for that.
Woo.
JoLanda.
Girl.
Help us.
I feel it. I feel the weight of it.
I could sit in this moment and just processing this. I definitely think that it's important for us to acknowledge that suicide has been in the church.
Oh, goodness.
Judas made what he considered to be a grave mistake, and his out better than life was suicide. When we look at Samson and his position when he lost his strength, his out was suicide. So we see different examples in the Word of God. When we even look at the prophets, after conquering and having, major victories, running away in caves. And, if we look at Job, going through what he experienced in it, cursing the very day that he was born. It bothers me that we have all of these examples, yet in the body, when we have people that go through things and they make mistakes and they say, I'd rather be dead, we don't point them back to the resources and say, this is what happened. This is how you can survive it. This is how you can come through it. Yeah. So really creating that awareness that we're not dealing with anything new.
That's good.
And then also helping people to deal with the issue that leads them to the suicidal thoughts. I love hearing James talk. He talked about that lack of affirmation. For a man, that same-sex parent, affirmative voice, it changes everything. And so how do we begin to deal with that in him before he gets to the point where none of this is worth it? So how do we deal with the trauma survivors that's sitting in our pews that have had their issues unaddressed, unhealed, that they haven't had a chance to say, look, this is what happened to me. And so that issue sits, it festers, it grows, and then now we're in a place of suicidal ideation. So I think dealing with the issues that lead people there, being transparent about it, having people like Pastor Jarvis, Pastor Melva, that's been like, look, we putting a network in place, we're bringing resources, and talking about it.
Oh my God. Wow. Oh my God. I don't even know kind of where to end because it's so much, and I almost don't want to leave you, for those people, because I truly believe that this is going to touch many people right where they are. And so the only thing that keeps coming up in me is mask off, just take the mask off. And in that, especially as leaders, you might even see, you see us, Believers After Dark, Iberia, she's doing these different shows or what have you. But transparent moment, and this is probably going to shock many that don't know this story, this about me, but I also had a suicide attempt. But this was many years ago when I was living in Atlanta. I was in a physically abusive relationship. Many people don't know that about me. I think I might have talked about it briefly on another show. And I remember laying on the floor with knife in hand, ready to take my life. And it was my abuser, actually, that took the knife from me, but I still was in a different place until he put a phone to my ear, and it was someone from a church that I was leading praise and worship in. Just so you know, it wasn't that I was a full praise and worship leader and playing bass and singing and doing all of that. And I was in an abusive relationship. I was shacking up. I felt disconnected from God, but he was there. And through the voice of that woman that from my church, and I remember I was like I was somewhere else, and then she said my name. She said, Brandy. And it just pulled me back because I don't know where I was. And I think that's what happens. You literally, you're not in yourself anymore, and so I'm just sharing that to say that there, but by the grace of God, go I could be a statistic. I could be one of the statistics that James, read off of his paper, off his phone there. But God had more for me, more in store for me, so that we could get this word to you even on today in 2019 and say, don't give up, keep on pushing. We have churches, we have people that you can connect to, World Outreach Bible Training Center, new direction, and so much more. And so, while we saying hold on to your stone, hold on to your faith. God, God is not through with you yet. And we make so many hard decisions based on an emotion that we feel right now.
That's so good.
Yeah.
That's so
that
good.
I don't even think about that particular, until I just brought it up now, but I don't even think about that situation anymore. Like that's like I've been through so many other things since then, you know? And so, it's not just you. You're not alone. And we're here for you. So we'll definitely make sure that we have resources. Yes. Pastor Jarvis, give them the address to your church and just so how they can get connected to you.
All right. So it's New Direction Christian Church, 2127 West Garfield Avenue, Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Okay. All right. And then Pastor Melva's church, which is World Outreach. I'll make sure that I put the address and just really some links right in our Saved in the City group. So if you're not connected with us on social media, please do so that you can get connected. And then one more time, Talk Consulting.
Definitely. Talk Consulting. Reach out to me at talkconsulting.net. I also want to throw out 2 other counseling resources. Christian Family Solutions. They accept clients on a fee-based scale if you don't have insurance. Also Divine Wellness and Counseling.
Thank you.
And again, I am available. Talkconsulting.net. If you need to talk, I am here for it.
I love it. James, and I know you're doing some advocacy, but is there anything that you're doing, or are you trying to connect to people?
Just reach out to me, because like I said, I'm doing like a vlog series on YouTube. #Stop Self Hate. Because we need to. People need to stop hating themselves.
Yeah,
that's where it starts. Stop hating yourself. So feel free to reach me on social media. James Prince on Facebook. Neil_Cornelius on Instagram. I don't have Twitter, but probably after today I'm going to start a Twitter account. But I mean, that's just for people who don't want to speak on a professional level. They don't speak to a professional, but they need an outlet for somebody to talk to. I'm here to listen.
I love it. Thanks so much for tuning in, and until next week, be encouraged. We'll see you later. Bye.
It's okay to cry. Humble yourself, put aside your pride. I gave you those tears in your eyes. If you put down your guards, I will fight. I'll feel your agony, I'll feel your pain. Step into my presence and don't be ashamed. I'll fight your battles, I'll fight this battle. Tell me all about it, don't whisper, just shout it. I know what's inside, I know all your deepest fears and worries, so don't you fret. No, just take up your bed, lay down.